Hi, welcome to the Catholic Corner. I'm Monsignor Walter Nolan. And also welcome to part two of a very beautiful and special program that we're having here on the Clement House, which is a freestanding house on the grounds of the beautiful St. Clement Church in Matawan, New Jersey. The Clement House provides one family in crisis with rent-free home for up to 24 months. Gosh, there's so many beautiful stories about the Clement House and so many beautiful people. If you watched us the last week or so, in part one of this special program, we spoke with the current resident family in Clement House, the Truns family. And if you recall, I mentioned that they became homeless when both their home and their business were destroyed by Superstorm Sandy in October of 2012. My guests today, beautiful, beautiful family, are former residents of Clement House. And with their smiles and their love, are a living proof of how the program gives families the opportunity to regroup and move toward independence. The Benkauskas family were residents in Clement House in 2002. Almantis and Vilma suffered the loss. And if I choke up a little bit, it's okay. Suffered the loss of their 4-year-old Katrina, who was hit and killed instantly by a car crossing the street. Vilma was pregnant again and just lost her job, and Alamantis' salary wasn't enough to pay their rent. So what? They needed a place to live. Alamantis and Vilma are here along with their two children, Vida and Addis, to tell how Clement House supported them through those trying times. Interesting, isn't it? You know, we celebrate Christ coming into the world. And we celebrate it with Mary and Joseph. And all of a sudden we start to realize that story gets told and retold in so many different ways. And it's really part of your story. So joining me is Christine King, who is a Clement House board member. Christine, thanks so much for all the beautiful work you do. Christine will share about how the program is more than just a house for people to live in, but a community of support and a love for families who, I don't like to just say live here, but who experience the growth and the love of their own hearts and their own blessings, and a God who promised, he never promised anything else. He promised to always walk with us. So he walks very well and resides very well in Clement House. Christine, maybe you can just give me a little background, on the success of Clement House, and do you continue to keep in touch with some of the families?
We do. There's one thing about volunteering, especially in a project like this, is that I think all the members who participate get back so much more than we give. It was clear very early on that there was a need for intact families. So that in a situation like this family, they weren't put up in some welfare motel and trying to meet their needs in horrible, really horrible conditions. There are some facilities in the community for the single mother, but very little available where you had intact parents. And when they came to us, because it was very tragic, I cannot imagine suffering the loss of a child. And I'll get emotional to this day.
Listen, that's what we're about.
But they dealt with that with a grace and a faith that you can't imagine. And of course, we were very happy to have the very first children born in Clement House, which thrilled us to no end. And I think, as Frank explained in the earlier episode, our mission is to work with families that want to improve, that want to get on their feet again. And this is a beautiful example of people who pulled together in the worst circumstances you can imagine, continued their education, had 2 beautiful children, and managed to move on and to have a place of their own and to give back. I first got involved at a time when my late husband was just recovering from a major illness. And one of the members, the house was built when he didn't have a family yet. said, you need to volunteer, you need to do something. And it's been as much as catharsis for me and a therapy for me, I think, as it is, the families that we've, helped. And the various families have needed different things, and the different committee members have worked to do that. Some families need to know how to balance a checkbook, or their children need help with school. Other families, like Al and his family, they just needed time to finish their education, to get the job, and to try to, I won't say get over the tragedy, because you never get over the loss of a child, but to come to terms. And again, the birth of these two children was just wonderful.
You said it so well, Christine. Thank you. I always think that sometimes people say time heals, and I say no, you get scar tissue. So you can kind of, but that's, but there is a great God who does walk with us, and somehow we walk together and we love together, which is a beautiful gift. Al and Vilma, maybe just tell me a little bit about, the beginnings of your loves together, and how you started your family, and how you kind of helped each other get through that time. And look at the smile on these kids. Oh my God. But please, maybe you could just tell me a little bit about yourselves, and you're still very young, but how at a young time of your life.
We did meet each other in Lithuania, our native country, where we came from, and we came to US in 1998, summer of 1998.
So you met each other your
back
homeland.
home.
Oh, God,
right.
love you.
Mm-hmm. And we brought, as Christine mentioned, our first child to US again when we came here in 1998. She was almost 4. No, she was 4. Mm-hmm. And we came basically here to improve her future, to show her the world. And after we lost her, me and my husband, we still very close. We're very good friends. We support each other, and we help each other.
Yeah, that's when you get married, it's, I don't know why we don't talk about this more. We talk about a lot of things, but to me, when we get married with God, a part of the love, it's really a covenant, and part of that covenant says, not only that God says, I'll be your God, you're going to be my sons and daughters, but you say to each other, I'll be your man and I'll be your woman. But there's a part of that says, we're going to journey together. But I think really deep down it also says in that covenant that we're going to take our strengths and our graces and allow us to grow in that pilgrimage so that we always eternally love each other, which is a great thing. And you youngsters are going to grow up into that. So that's a beautiful thing to say. Thanks, Mom and Dad. All the gifts they give you, maybe that's the strongest gift, really, huh? But well, it's nice that we're here now. And how did you find out about Clement House? And I mean, where were you when the tragedy happened? And
when the tragedy happened, at that time we lived in Toms River, New Jersey.
Toms River.
And a couple of months after, we moved to Central Jersey, this area. And our friends from St. Clement's Church, parishioners of St. Clement's Church, showed us the ad in the bulletin about St. Clement's House, looking for new people to live here. And we were thinking that would be the very good idea for us, and that's how we applied. We filled the application, and we hoped and we prayed to get chosen.
Wow, that is the nativity story, isn't it? Al, were you working in your present job at the same time, or has careers changed for you?
Yes, I just started the job.
Okay.
Beginning, and I said probably there are like more people who need most that house, and maybe don't apply to that. I didn't believe it's to get that. Well, two of us by that time just, and we knew that baby's coming, but this whole house for us, three of us was
For just two of us at that time, we couldn't believe we could
Yeah,
live
but-
here.
Two and a
But-
gift that
yeah.
you were sharing.
Exactly.
And friends encouraged us to fill up application, and we did that, and we got selected somehow. Something amazing happened.
So, can you tell us a little bit about how you moved in together, knowing that God was going to grace you again? And were those days difficult, easy, prayerful?
First of all, it was like unbelievable to live in the house, and with all the support, financial and emotional, we were getting from people, we were like really elevated. It was really beautiful time when we lived here. All the memories, everything is just like amazing.
And how long were you here?
We were here from 2000 till
To 2002.
2002.
So for
Couple
2
years.
2 years.
Mhm.
And during those 2 years, I think you mentioned, Christina, somewhere along the line that you were continuing some education and doing some things. How did those 2 years evolve into the
I
place you are now?
Before we moved in, I already started my English classes, and I was trying to get into the hygiene program, dental hygiene program at University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey. And while we live here, I completed all my prerequisite courses pretty much and got accepted into the program. So house helped us a lot with tuition fees, with everything we needed. I think we got our first computer purchased here from the house while we
Wow.
lived here.
And Al, yourself, well, at that time, were you also continuing some education, or were you
Yes,
fully?
I went to Middlesex College for
Uh-huh.
English as a second language, also computer drafting program, and keep
Wow.
working on job.
And when you came here, did you not speak English?
Very little.
Very little.
Very limited.
Wow. Now look at you today. My gosh,
Thank you.
that,
Still need some improvement.
Doing our best.
Yeah.
So what about the program that you remember the most? I mean, what was happening to you that all of a sudden you're never going to forget Clement House?
They helped us manage our budget, most important thing probably. So we try to save some money for the future. We help where to spend, where to save. That helps most. But saving on the rent, we can put some money aside and control our spending. That's probably most important.
And God helped also with car repairs, like I mentioned before, college tuitions, all the baby supplies we needed at that time, and also the emotional support.
That was very important
was
too.
very, very big. We felt like those people were part of our family, really.
Sure. So, because when you came without family,
We came without family, right?
and you came because you wanted to find a promised land, so to speak,
Promised
for the
land
children.
and land for the future of our
Right.
daughter
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah. And daughter and son now. Wow. Daughter and son, are you going to tell us a little bit about, what you're doing and how happy you are here to be in our beautiful United States?
Well, we're getting a really good education. Our grades are really high. We study a lot. We take part in activities after school. My brother does basketball, and we both do tennis.
You both do tennis.
Yeah.
Well, if you have nothing to do on a Wednesday morning, come up and I'll play tennis with you. Wow.
And Vita plays violin, right?
Yeah.
She participates in school. orchestra.
So there's a fullness of your own maturity and growth and studies. And now, do you study as hard as your sister does?
Well, I don't study a lot, but I study enough so I get high grades.
Enough to get high grades.
Yeah.
Boy, you're a very intelligent young boy. That's spoken as well as anybody could really speak it. Now, where did you? So you had a beautiful experience here. You became part of family of everybody, and then you have to come to a decision after you've gotten your own strength back, to go on your own? Where are you living now?
We do live in nearby town. We live in Aldbridge. We
Aldbridge.
moved. We purchased a townhouse, and that's where we live now.
And that's doing well.
That's everything is doing
Yes.
well.
We teach us to save some money. We're saving. We almost paid our mortgage, and we're saving money for kids' college.
Oh,
We know this
wow.
is not gonna be cheap, but we do our best.
Now, children, what do you remember most about this house? Do you remember, like, I don't know, the deer in the fields, or what? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts of.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
like there were a lot of activities taking place in front of this house, like by the church.
Uh-huh.
And on 4th of July, I remember the fireworks and all the noise and the partying when I was little. So
Wow, so you could sit right on your own front porch and see fireworks and everything? Gosh, that's, and how about yourself, son? What do you remember about it? Because you're just a little bit younger.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything.
Nothing, but you had a good time.
I only remember from like videos and photos.
Yeah, we
Sure. Because
Updating.
you were, how old, Mom, was he when he was living here?
He wasn't even a year old when
Oh,
we moved
okay,
out.
sure.
But both kids were born here. We brought them to this house. This was their first house.
Their first home,
Home
and they were
and house,
baptized
exactly.
really in this parish. Wow. Well, that's a nice, beautiful story. Tell me some of the lessons or tools that you need now or you have now to stay independent.
Most important, probably like my husband mentioned, was managing our finances. And the other important part as well, I would say, we learn how to share. We learn how to help people as well. We understand more. And again, the lesson of helping each other is the big one too.
You know, that's a lesson that I wish the whole world could understand a little bit better. You know, sometimes we kind of get inside of ourselves a little bit rather than realizing that we're all brothers and sisters, and that's really what God's call is all about. You know, that He, in fact, I always tell people this. I said, you know, lots of times people think that God, like, chose me or chose us. You know, no, He called us as a people of God. He says, you're my people, and He wants us to be His people and His family. You know. Now, I know you do some work in construction. Do you come back to Clement House sometimes to do anything, or do you stay in touch? I guess what I'm thinking about, Christine, is there a I don't know, do you ever have like a call back to all of the people that were here and have a little cookout or something?
You know, we haven't have a call back in terms of a cookout. I mean, we've had 16 families actually in
Yeah.
the course of that 20 years. And there are families like Al and me that we do stay in touch with. And different committee members tend to stay in touch with different families, actually. Some have moved out of the area, some have moved to Pennsylvania, but there's the wonders of email. So there's, you know, communication that way. And, you know, last year I lost my husband. And who's at the wake? These lovely family.
Yeah.
Again, giving back a little bit of what we try to give them.
Sure.
So it really is a very, you know, it's a very good program. I think the hardest thing for the committee is like picking a family, because there's so many families that are in need, and we have one house, and so, you know, that's the hardest decision, is that when a family moves on, you know, who comes in next, and you know, who do we think can be able to move on and become, you know, independent, and it's a wonderful thing.
Tell me if you can think back to when you were saying to yourselves, I'm half assuming some of this now, but, you know, when time goes on, you start to say, you know, we've saved a little bit of money, we can go buy our own home and our own, you know, how does that discussion, when do you come to say, I think it's time, you know, that we go on our own, so to speak? And what advice would you have for other families to continue their great faith journey?
Again, we knew that this is temporarily at the place where we were living at the moment, and we could live here about like from a year to 2 years, and we had the goal already set up that we're gonna be moving out, and we were looking for the house, and when we got the house, we felt like, ready. We had financially ready and emotionally ready, because you spend your good times here, but you have to move on, and you have to let the people who waiting again, who in greater need to live here. So I think just maturity level, we were mature enough to live independently.
And I think one of the things that we tell all of our families is that the first day that you come here is the first day we plan for you to move out, because the goal is to help in whatever way is needed to move on. So day one of the journey is the first step to independence, to be able to move out and to let the next family start their journey.
Christine, tell me a little bit about the time, from a family moving in and moving out. Do you meet with them periodically?
Oh, we meet with them frequently, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We do. I mean, as Frank, I think, said in the first segment of the show, in the beginning we'll be meeting every week. And part of that is to, evaluate what the needs are, and the needs of every family can be very different. We've had family with 7 children living here who have been crammed into a little, 1-bedroom apartment. All different needs, and so we worked very much in the beginning to set budgets, to find out what the needs are. Some family move out in less than 2 years. Some family, it takes the full 2 years. But once they get established, there is a committee, and we really meet as often as the family needs. Sometimes I remember tutoring math to one of the children of the family. And so that would be, our Sunday afternoon, session, just doing that. So that varies from family to family, but we do meet and make sure that they're reaching their goals, and to find out, as they progress, what other, things are needed.
Now, does the families, once they leave, did they ever call up and come back and look at the property, or take pictures again, or bring their children back and say, gee, this is when, I would hope that, when the youngsters get a little older, you come back and maybe don't do it now because you got 20 years, but maybe someday you bring your boyfriend over or something and say, yeah, this is where I grew up as a kid, or something of that nature,
Yeah, and we have families that are participants in St. Clement's Church, and I see one of the women there with her son, who was an altar server. They maintain contact, and it's good to see. I mean, I love the fact that this family planted the 2 trees, because it's a sign of life and a sign of hope going forward. I think
that's just a marvelous thing. Do you know how many children had trees planted when they were born? I mean, is that something in your native land that you people do?
Yes.
Oh, what a neat thing! Wow, it's like the gift of Saint Nicholas, or Santa Claus, or however you pronounce them in Lithuania. That's the gift of life that you. Oh my gosh, tell me, what's the best memory you have from Clement House now? Thinking back.
A lot of good memories.
A lot of good memories.
A lot of good memories. I remember very clearly 2 christening parties we had here.
Yeah.
For the children?
For the children. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A lot of people.
I remember when I teach my daughter Vita to start walking on this long drive.
A long drive,
first at
exactly.
home. And after long, when I coming back from work, I see
she would run meet him.
To run and meet him. Oh gosh. Now listen. So what are you going to do when you get older? What do you like? Have you ever thought about that yet? What you might like to do? I mean, just your mom and dad are such beautiful people, and they love and care, and they got family and friends that all love and care. I can look at your eyes, and I know you guys love and care. Do you ever think to say, gee, maybe in a couple of years I'd like to do this or that? Does that ever come across to you yet? Not yet.
Not really. I have a lot of things on my mind. I'm not really sure on that one thing that I'm planning to do.
Sure. You got lots of time. And are you going to be a basketball player?
I guess.
You guess, huh? That'd be nice, And maybe mom and dad won't have to spend all the money to send you to college. But that's okay. That's okay. Christine, why is this ministry so important? I mean, I know some of you are on the board, and I don't know if others get on the board and you reach out to people. I mean, how do we get the message out to people that the marvelous work that you're doing?
I think because you have the privilege of working with these families that have lost so much, and still, sometimes society just pushes people away, and that's not what we're about. That's not what the Catholic faith teaches us to be about. And as I said before, in the process of trying to help these families, you get so much more in return. And it was just filling a need that very often the system just didn't meet. They're not, these are people in the real world, and they're not just a number. They're not just something that, some government official, slots around. So it just became something that was just very, very fulfilling. As I said, I started at a time of my own personal need, and over the years you just get back so much more than you possibly can give.
It's about this time now that we kind of remember in prayer and love and faith not only the thanksgiving of God for all of the gifts that we have, but in our own country now, where it's about the time of the remembrance of President Kennedy's assassination. And, there's always things in our life that we never forget. And I'm sure there are things in your life now with your family that you'll never forget. A child to God, child, coming strong to us. But I do remember the words that he said one time was, don't ask, what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And I think that's a beautiful example of the depth of our faith, in our own Christian faith, our own Catholic faith. I would imagine that's the depth of your own homeland, with family that are back there. But it's also the depth, I think, of who we are, as you said, Christine. That I think God has asked that same question. Don't always ask what I can do for you. What can you do to bring about my love into the families, into the world, into the goodness? And Christine, you and your friends do it so well. I hope you don't mind me saying this, Mom and Dad. You guys do it so well, and your covenant just keeps growing and growing. And you know what? We don't know what daughter and son are going to do. But you know what, daughter and son? You're going to be very proud of your mom and dad. And whatever you do, there's going to be a great God who's going to smile with you, love you, walk with you, and always be a part of your love. So sometimes just say, thanks. That's all we have to ever say to do. God bless you. Also, we all should say thanks. And sometimes you need more information on how to get involved with the Clement House. It's theclementhouse.org. Pray together with us. We're brothers and sisters. Love you very much.